All right, we're going to get started here. Welcome, Anita. Welcome, Tabitha. How are you guys doing today? All right. As we get started here, you guys are in your final week. Goes quick, doesn't it? Super fast. So you guys are, I saw some really strong projects coming through from last week. Excuse me. So I was kind of impressed by what I saw. So good job for those of you who were able to submit your work on time. And there were a few of you that really kind of, excuse me, set the bar in regards to the brand books. So we're going to take a look at some of those today so that you guys can be inspired by what you see of other people doing in class. And hopefully, you know, kind of push your work to that same level. Excuse me, because sometimes we just don't, you know, we're not sitting in a classroom, we don't pin up our work, and we kind of lose track of what other people are doing. But we can also learn from each other and be inspired by one another. It doesn't mean that that person's better than you, a better designer. It just means that, you know, they are doing something that works, and it's pushing you to kind of, you know, push your work and evolve your work to that level as well. All right, well, welcome to week 4, live lecture 1. It's great to have you guys here. I'm going to miss you guys. Tomorrow we will have our final lecture, so make sure that you're listening to the recordings. We will be going over your final assignment this week, today, and then also your discussion, and then tomorrow we will go over your assessment. But don't forget, you guys also have your discussion. I'll be going over that today, and then also your career integration quiz, which is another 15 points added, which all kind of adds up, so make sure you're taking that, and that you're responding substantially to that, and very specifically to this classroom. It shouldn't be very vague. It should be very specific to the projects that we've been working on in this class, and certain objectives that we kind of went over and learned in this class as well. All right. That being said, just a few things. You guys need to have your work in by this Saturday. No late work can be pretty much accepted past the Saturday due date, because we need grades to be submitted. You guys will be locked out of the classroom after this point as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have week 3 work that you still need to revise and resubmit or submit, so you know that you haven't as of yet, don't forget to do that for your, you know, before the class ends. Very important. And again, don't forget to do your reflection post, which is your, excuse me, your career integration quiz. All right, so the last time that we met last week, we went over your, just a little review here, we went over your assignment 3 brand book, kind of finished up a few things that we weren't able to cover the day before. And we also went over your assessment 3, which we also did a demo on as well. So if you missed that, definitely review the recording from week 3, live lecture 2. All right, and today we're going to go over your, it says reflection post, but we're going to take a look at your discussion post. I do have a branding video, but I'm not quite sure. I'm going to show you some brand books too. We'll take a look at some brand book, like I said, from this class, the 3 brand books that I pulled from this class, from students here in this classroom. And then we will go over we'll go over your final project, and we'll do an overview. Some of this is kind of like, you know, give or take as we go forward here. We definitely can open this up for critique if you guys have anything that you want to show, you know, at the very end, things that you're working on, we can open it up for that as well. All right, so let's go ahead, and before I actually go forward, does anybody have any questions from, you know, up to this point? Not yet? Okay. You know, anything that maybe was from last week or anything like that, you know, let me know. All right. Just wanted to open that up just in case you guys had some questions before I go forward here. All right, so I did pull a couple student examples, like I said, that I thought were great examples to show you guys to inspire you to push your work forward, because I think these projects definitely, you know, are pretty effective. Welcome, Thomas. So, but you know, it doesn't mean that they're where they should be either. I mean, I've obviously gave some feedback on these, so they're ever changing. These aren't quite, you know, totally perfect. So just kind of keep that in mind when I'm showing these, that you know, they're still doing changes as well. All right, so this is Kayla's, and let's see here. So this is Kayla's. There's definitely some things that she needs to address with the logo, but I thought she did a great job with plotting out her pages for her brand book. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys. She did a great job with keeping, you know, a grid structure, the overall cohesiveness of the colors, even though, you know, there was some feedback that I gave her about the color. But in regards to keeping it consistent, I think, you know, this definitely works. So hopefully you guys, you know, from last week, from all of the demos that I did, understood kind of all the pages that needed to be placed in here. And you had, you know, some of this stuff is fun to some people and some of it isn't. It's kind of redundant. So if you're very OCD like me, this type of a project could be definitely fun once you get into it, because there's just a lot of details. Target audience. You know, I did see a lot of vague information from a lot of you guys in your target audience area. And I know it's difficult for you guys because you're not given a lot of information from, you know, for the project. So that's kind of why I mentioned it last time that we met, that some of the stuff you need to kind of maybe, I guess necessarily like make up, because this is a fake client, you know, just kind of in your mind, who would you think the target audience would be, and set that range of, you know, age range, set that demographics, talk about the personality of the person that's coming in. You know, what are they doing? What's their income status? What's their education? Get as specific as you can. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to just totally not target anybody else. This is just who you know who's going to buy into their products and brands of this particular brand. So that the reason behind that is because the more you hone in on a particular demographic, the better you will understand how to communicate to that audience. And those are the people that are actually going to be coming and buying into the brand. So you need to visually communicate with these people, and understanding this target range is super important. If it's very vague, then, you know, you might not be talking specifically to a certain target audience, and you may miss some important visual communication that you could be, you know, benefiting from within your visuals and your marks, your brand identity pieces. So, you know, try to get that, you know, as specific as you can. I like the fact that a lot of you guys did the personality breakdown of what it is and what it's not. I saw a few of you guys do this, which was, I think, really, really interesting and beneficial for you guys too. It's kind of like an adjective list of sorts, but I like the fact that is not is added in there, because I like the fact that there's a contrast to it, so you can see what they're about and what they're not about. Very clear. You have your color palette. A lot of you guys did great with this. Just kind of a little heads up, and I didn't mention this before, but I did write in some of your feedback. You don't have to necessarily go with these simple squares for your swatches. Think about how fun you can make this, that something that is more cohesive with your brand. You know, for instance, maybe these are paw prints. You know, simple little paw prints in the color of the swatches, just to make it fun and interesting instead of having just squares for this page. So just a little idea there. Logo guidelines. A lot of you guys did great with this as well, showing the correct variation of it and then the incorrect variation. You know, sometimes we need visual and verbal information to kind of clarify what is being shown here. So a lot of you guys may want to think about adding some small copy to the incorrect variations, so that you know it's as crystal clear as possible to somebody. If they're seeing this, they're going to not only visually see it, but they're going to read what not to do. So you're kind of trying to make it as crystal clear as possible to the person that is viewing this. Typography, you know, this definitely should include your logo, but it's not limited to. So if you were wanting to kind of expand this, you could show, I want you to kind of show what typefaces are used in your logo. But if you wanted to expand upon this too, say you did a section of what typography would be used for other identity pieces, you know, stationery or other ads, you could definitely add that too. That's just thinking ahead. Here's another one, typography, brand guidelines. Imagery, I think this is the inspiration behind the overall look that you want to have for your brand. You know, do you ever hear of mood boards? You know, Pinterest is kind of a big mood board online website. And mood boards are great ways to kind of set up the tone and the mood of what you want your brand to look like. So this is kind of what the imagery page is all about. You know, it could show different perspectives, different looks, different styles, different moods, lighting that you want to show in all of your identity pieces, something that you want, how you want your brand to look, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to be the images used within certain pieces, but it's going to be the overall mood of your brand. I did see a great deal of you doing an amazing job with the advertising and marketing treatments. You know, just one idea here is if you want to do another page for this so that your pieces are a little larger to view. Some of these are a little small. I know in my example I showed you last week, they were kind of small too. If you want to add pages, I think you have up to 16 pages that you can utilize. You know, definitely do so that you can get these to be a little bit bigger, because I think these would be really nice, larger. Another thing is, and I just noticed this, the page numbers aren't correct on here. Just make sure that you're, you know, kind of double, triple checking your page numbers and doing it correctly with your master pages in InDesign, so that, you know, you don't have any weird duplications like you have here. Contact us. It's kind of a nice way to end the brand book, because if anybody who was looking at this wanted to ask any additional questions, welcome, Brandon. They could definitely contact either the company, the designer. So, you know, think about adding this page to yours if you have not yet. If you have your own, excuse me. Ooh, if you have your own kind of logo that you want to present in there, you know, along with your designer name, you can definitely do that. I just wouldn't make it the primary, you know, focal point on this page. I would keep it small and, you know, kind of section it out. Okay, that's one guide that or brand book from this class that I want to show. I have two more to show that I think are, oops, let's see here, are great examples to show. Now this one is, I think she did, let me see her. Facing pages, this is Danielle's here. She did facing pages, meaning it kind of looks like a book. You finally logged in. Great job, Brandon. Just saw your little message there. Well, welcome. Okay, so I really like the cover on this. I think it's very unique. It has just like a nice look to it, the overall tone of it. you know, obviously there's some changes I would make to this that I had mentioned to Danielle. So, but I think that this is, you know, this is a great start. You know, what's really nice about this one, I don't know if you guys know this, but the rule of thirds is always a good way to kind of split a page. And this is kind of the example that is showing the rule of thirds. It's like the 1/3. If the image was over just maybe half more of an inch to the right, then I'd say we have a little bit of a problem. You never want to split a layout in half, you know, perfectly in half. And there's a reason for that. When you split a layout in half, say that picture was half, you know, perfectly on the left side, you know, kind of aligned so that it took up half the page, and then the right side was, you know, obviously the other half. It gives an automatic disconnect to your information. It almost becomes two different sections. So it's more visually interesting when you have a 1/3 layout, and it ties everything a little bit better together. So just kind of a little FYI here. And again, she did a facing pages, so this is why the 2 pages look so large or long. And I had mentioned to kind of maybe try to avoid that because of the viewing purposes, but you know, she's trying to make it work here. So this would be split in the middle where the fold would be, say if this were an actual printed book. All right, so table of contents on the right here, nicely aligned, spaced out very nicely. I would probably put an S on the table of contents, but you know, little small changes. I like the way that the mark, the icon of the mark is on the left-hand side, kind of ties everything together and makes it unified. As we go forward, inside it talks about who they are on the left-hand side, target audience on the right. And like I said, this could be a little bit more substantive in regards to who it is that they're targeting, so that definitely could have more information in there, but the overall layout is definitely looking pretty strong. The next page is, again, this is the personality split, so you have the personality is and what it's not. Nicely done. And then you go into the color palette on the left, and then color palette alternatives and unacceptable color palette. So just make sure it's clear. And like I said, you don't have to use those little rectangles or squares. Think of how you could do that very, you know, very creatively, and maybe using that mark that's in the logo, the little cupcake, instead of the squares, and then change the color to that specific color. Another thing that I had mentioned to Danielle about some of these pages, this page in particular may look good with a white background, just because that very light lime color kind of takes away some of the color that is shown on this page. And especially the actual logo tagline kind of is getting lost too. And I had mentioned to her to make sure that that is contrasted enough for readability's sake, because you're kind of losing that bakery word for the logo there, especially with the background color. Logo guidelines, this is basically, you know, showing you, and it's a little hard to see here, it's a little vague. I would say add a little bit more information here, you know, what are these S's showing? And this is basically the clear space, so kind of the white space that you need so that you're not intruding into the mark or the logo. So if I were looking at this, it does look a little confusing to me. I would definitely have to add some verbal information to support what's being shown here. So make sure everything is crystal clear when you're showing things like this. Typography on the left of what's in the logo itself being shown in the actual typeface, and then also describing what the typeface is called. And then on the right there is just showing you some images of this, kind of setting the tone of what they would like used within their brand identity pieces. This is a nice page. You know, this is definitely all the things on here are showing a very appropriate marketing materials and identity pieces for this brand. So you have the t-shirts on the left, you have the door glass logo, you know, say if it was a storefront. You have the Cupcake Bakery individual boxes as well as the larger boxes. Nicely done there with the patterns placed in there. And this is, again, PSD mock-ups you can find online for free. I showed how to demo this last week. And then the bakery bags on the right there. So nicely done on this 2 pages. At the very end, like I said, why not add some contact information? This is where you can definitely make sure that everything is on point. If somebody has a question, is viewing this, say if a person's looking at this page and says, I don't know what this means, obviously you want to make sure that that verbal information is in there, but if there's any weird things going on that that person needs to ask you about, maybe they're not clear about, they can contact you as the designer. And then also having the Sweet Sensations Bakery information in there just in case too. All right, one more that I wanted to show you guys. It's always nice to see other people's work. And this is, and I think, let me see here. Anita, this is yours, correct? Yes. Yeah, I think I had asked you to show this as well. Anita, you did a great job with this. I think that this looks very updated and fresh. I think that you really kind of encapsulated the brand very nicely. It shows the whole essence of the brand, not just in the logo itself, but also the brand book in regards to the elements that you chose for this. So I think that you did an excellent job portraying what the brand was all about, not just within the logo itself, but also the mood of the book. So great job. All right, so the front cover here is, kind of nicely done, very balanced. Yeah, nice imagery being placed in here. And as we go forward, table of contents is placed in here. I like how she kind of implemented that yellow line with the dots that, basically do go with the outside of the logo style. So you're getting that unification, within the elements there. All right, so everything looks great. Everything's spaced out nicely. Table of contents, very easy to read. You go into brand introduction, talks about who they are as a brand. All the pages are numbered nicely. Everything's very balanced. Okay, target audience, breaking it down with who would be the people that they are speaking to. So she has an age range, gender, income status, and just kind of talks about below who they are. And so that's great. Personality here, what they are and what they aren't. Again, kind of like an adjective list of sorts. Color palette. And again, like I said, Anita, in your feedback, why not use something other than the squares? But this is something definitely you can swap out very easily. Now that you kind of have that idea, you can think about how you can make that look a little bit more unique. But great job for sure. Logo guidelines. So proper logo usage. She's showing the, the color variation, which is black and white, and then what it would look like on a darker background, which is always great to do. And then the logo variations. So she's breaking that out of the circle and showing the other variation that can be used, which is always good because this will keep your logo more versatile. So that if you aren't looking for a steel logo and wanting a more horizontal logo, maybe you have a more vertical logo, you want to try a more horizontal variation as well. This is where you can actually show both of those. Logo guidelines, what not to do, and this is great because you have these big X's. So to me, right away, I know that this is the wrong way to use the logo. Not only am I seeing that, but it's also showing it as the logo, what's happening here. And then it's also explaining it down below under each logo, what's going on. So it's very crystal clear. I have, the first logo, somebody may not know why that's not supposed to be shown like that. But when you look down below, it says do not distort the logo, and then you understand, okay, that's what's happening there. So you kind of get that supportive copy. Typography. Again, breaking it down from the logo to other materials. So if you wanted to do this, say if you didn't quite, go to this extent, you could. If you're thinking ahead on the other materials of headings, subheadings, and body copy used on other materials, you can definitely put that in there. Just make sure you're breaking it up nicely in sections. The visual pause in between each section is very important. And the visual pause is the white space, or else it'll kind of run together and be harder to view and understand. We are visual communicators, and we have to organize that information nicely so that it's clear and easy to follow when a viewer looks at it. Imagery, nicely done here, looking at different pastries, but also perspectives in the mood of the brand. Marketing pieces, and again, this is where, maybe, Anita, maybe utilize one example on each page. So maybe you get those a little bit bigger. It would be nice to see each example maybe a little bit bigger. Just adding an extra page maybe is all that you need to do. So you have a bigger square and bigger example in each. And that would be something very, very easy to do. Contacts, very last page. Nicely done here. She has the company brand name and then also the designer's contact information. So great job, you guys. This is definitely 3 great pieces to show you guys so that you can kind of try to get your work up to that level. I think this is where everybody should be. And a lot of you guys are, a lot of you guys that I haven't shown are getting there. So don't feel like you're, too far behind. It's just kind of pushing it forward. We all can get that extra push at one point with our work so that we are evolving our pieces and, learning. We're learning what works, what doesn't work. So great job. All right. All right, this is the video I wanted to show you guys. I thought this was kind of really interesting because we were talking about rebranding in the beginning of this class. So there's a video here that I'm going to show you. We'll talk about it after I play it here. That actually talks about the rebrand of this particular airline here. Give me 1 second while I type this in here. I thought I had this up, but I guess I don't. Designboom.com, and I don't think I can actually click on it. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, here we go.
The modernization of American Airlines started about 2 years ago when we placed the largest aircraft order in the history of aviation. At the time, we realized we have a unique opportunity to modernize not just the interiors of the aircraft, but also the new look and feel from an exterior perspective.
Doing an iconic brand rebranding is a quite long and tedious task because you have to really respect the equities that come with an identity that has been around for 40 years and is an American icon.
We're proud to introduce our new visual identity, which is the next step in the modernization of American Airlines and represents a tremendous opportunity for American to modernize the experience for our customers, putting them at the center of everything that we do.
We want to signal change. It's not purely cosmetic. So we want to signal changes as an experience overall, both visually and emotionally.
American is serious about modernizing enhancing the experience that it provides its customers, and is serious about that in ways large and small and really throughout the entire airline.
The introduction of our new visual identity, which includes our livery and our logo, is the next step in the modernization of American.
Our new look was inspired by our proud past and what we make possible as a company.
The eagle is a symbol of America, but the eagle is also part of our heritage.
The new logo is obviously an evolution of the eagle, but it's not just an eagle. We call it a flight symbol.
The flight symbol represents many of the symbols that people have come to associate with American. The eagle, the star, the A, as well as the color palette, the red, the white, and the blue.
Our flight symbol is a more modern version of the eagle. It's an eagle that's flying and soaring, which is uniquely American.
We knew that choosing the paint for the main body of the aircraft was incredibly important to honoring the heritage of our Silverbird aircraft. And we also knew that our people and our customers feel passionately about the Silverbird.
There aren't that many, if any others, who could actually incorporate an interpretation of the flag into the iconography of the brand.
We feel that the stripes flying proudly on our tail is a bold symbol for our passion for progress.
I hope that people will see that we've kept the elements of American that people love and brought them forward and modernized them for the future.
It was about capturing the spirit of America, capturing technology, capturing service, just really focusing on brightness and optimism.
We hope that our employees and our customers feel a tremendous passion and pride for American when they see our new fleet, our products and services, and our visual identity. And there's a lot more to come.
All right, so pretty interesting because we're talking about rebranding, and I wanted to share that with you guys just to see kind of, that there is more involved with just, not just redoing a logo. There can be a lot of different things to think about as a designer, and it's all encompassing. So you can see here the before and after and how much that it changed the logo mark, and then also it's not just being applied to one thing. It's being applied to a whole bunch of different identity pieces, applications. So thinking about that. Think about how your logo will be applied to different applications. I'm sure a lot of you guys who did the mock-ups for your identity pieces in your brand book, you kind of started thinking, oh, okay, now I understand why I needed to think about the versatility of the logo. Sometimes we don't think far that in advance like that. So that's why it's so important to test the logo out. Will it work in different applications? So I wanted to share that because I thought this was kind of a nice short video to kind of just show you kind of the idea of you're changing not only the logo, but an actual brand. All right, getting started here. We're gonna go over your discussion in a minute here and take a quick quiz. I'm gonna do a 5-minute break before we get into that. Does anybody have any questions before we take a short break here? It's great to see so many people in here. All right, so grab your coffee or whatever you're drinking, water, tea, get some sugar in you, and we'll be starting back up in about 5 minutes here. Okay, can you guys hear me? All righty. We're back. All right, great to have you guys here. All right, we're gonna go over a couple of things from the quiz that we took a while back and see how much you guys remember, talking about brand strategy, a couple other things that we went over in week 1. See how much you remember. Go ahead and type in what you think is the best answer for each of these. What is within advertising that leads people to spend money on things they may not need? We talked about this in week 1. Facts, humor, or persuasion? All right. Oh, everybody else is chiming in here. I went a little bit too quick. Good. Yeah, persuasion. You're always trying to persuade people into buying our product, our brand. I know a lot of you guys may have found yourself like me in the grocery store, only wanting to buy one thing. You go in, you end up buying 10 things because you're persuaded by something that kind of drew you in. Kind of that impulse buy. Your mom, right? That's what they, stores know what they're doing. They know exactly where you're going. They know how to get your money. So how about this one? The effective use of rhetorical strategies such as applications of blank, blank, and blank links back to classic Greek rhetorical theory. Is it research, observation, practice, logos, ethos, pathos, or persuasion, logos, pathos? Good job, you guys. Logos, ethos, pathos. Good job. Yeah, we discussed this in the strategies of persuasion. And do you guys know which word describes what the definition of ethos is? So you see logos is up there, pathos. Tabitha's quick. Is ethos trust and authority? Is it seek understanding and being understood, or anger and fear? Okay, we got some mixed answers here. If you said A, you are correct. Trust and authority. So trust and authority, what kind of brand would want to maybe use that strategy, persuasive strategy? Could you give an example? Yeah, so Apple, trust and authority. What about like a toothpaste brand, like any type of medical brands out there? Hygienic type stuff, Crest, yep. Good. So ethos is trust and authority, logos and logic and reason, and pathos is emotion and beliefs. Good. The communication of advertisement speaks simultaneously with the universality of rhetoric, brand identity, or repetition. What do you guys think? It's a little tricky. Okay, we got some answers rolling in here, 2 A's. Yep, you guys are right, rhetoric, good. So that's it's kind of the rhetoric that we use in the actual advertisement, good. Blank is imperative in advertisement. Brand standards, brand book, or brand recognition. What's the best answer? Okay, 2 C's, good job. Yeah, brand recognition. So we want to make sure that that brand is recognizable across all identity pieces. Good job. Through branding, advertisers can utilize blank to establish the credibility of the product. Is it images, symbols, or websites? What's the best answer? It's funny, Brennan. Good job. Symbols, yep. Excellent. Emotional branding creates a blank bond between customers and brands. Instant, memorable, or visible. Brandon says he loves symbols. Oh, you sure about that? Invisible. That was it. You know, it was a little tricky there. You want it to be memorable, but an invisible bond. The emotional part. Good try, though. What is decorum? Do you guys remember us talking about this? Is it the appropriateness of behavior or of behavior or conduct, an opportune occasion for speech, or how an audience shapes the composition of a text or responds to it? There you go. Okay, I think some of you guys guessed this. So it's A, appropriateness of behavior or conduct. You ever hear somebody say, you know, have proper decorum? That's kind of what they're talking about. All right. Oh, you're funny. Okay, what rhetorical strategy is primarily being used in this ad? I know it's kind of hard to read this, but it's talking about protecting yourself, skin cancer. Was it logos, ethos, or pathos? Okay, Brandon says C. It's actually both. It's A and C. So if you said C or A, you are correct. Using both of those. Good job. What about this one? What strategy, rhetorical strategy, is primarily being used in this ad? This is a pedigree ad. You can see the heartstrings are being pulled here. So if you said C, you are correct. Kind of the emotional part of it. Good. What about this ad that was an old Apple ad? What rhetorical strategy is being used here? Okay. Is it A? A? Oh, B. Good guess, you guys. I guess that's why we go over this, right? Ethos. Ethos, let me rewind here. Come back to the, is trust and authority. I guess there could be a couple that use both, but that's kind of what I was looking for there. All right, well, good job for the most part. You guys remembered a lot of that. And some of that stuff, you guys aren't really creating ads for this class, but it's always good to know what's behind creating a brand, the emotional part of the brand, and then also having the ads, how, you know, kind of to strategize for the rhetorical part of your advertisements. You know, thinking ahead would be if you guys were to take this actual rebrand that you're doing now and putting it into an actual campaign of sorts. Then you would start thinking, okay, what's the best rhetorical strategy, persuasive strategy I want to use for this particular brand? So even though we're not going to be doing that in this class, it's something to think about, you know, going forward, especially if you have an actual real project going on. All right, we're going to actually look at your discussion before we get into your final project here. So let me go ahead and click on week 4. And the learning objectives I have actually placed in the announcements too, so you probably read over them. A little quick video here talking about, you know, how to get started, your step-by-step process here. I'll go ahead and play this for you really quickly.
Stitch Fix is an online personal styling service.
I set my sizes, styles, the clothes get shipped right to my...
All right, just a little motivational video there. I think that's kind of cute, and it really does kind of outline not just you as a student, but also like in your life, you know, just everything else kind of coming together. And I think, you know, sometimes we get overwhelmed with things, so it's great to understand that, you know, you don't have to do everything all at once. I know a lot of you guys get overwhelmed with certain projects, for example. Maybe the brand book got you really kind of anxious and overwhelmed. But once you get that ball started, you know, coming up with that logo mark, rebranding that logo, getting each page in completed one by one, I think you guys can see how far that you've come with your projects. And think about that going forward with your portfolio pieces too. It doesn't mean that once this class is over that you don't have to go back and work on your past projects. You guys should always be kind of evolving your work because you're learning new things as you go from one class to the next. And you will look back after a couple classes and think, oh, I could have done this a lot differently. Maybe I learned new tools or new methods. So kind of always keep that in mind. But anyway, don't forget also in your modules, I'm going to just show you that in your course media, that there's some great supportive information and resources in here in week 4. You scroll all the way down. Sorry if I'm giving you a headache scrolling here, but week 4, you have required articles that you should be kind of reading. This one talks about how to build slide presentations that really engage, how to create your own brand guidelines. Maybe you skipped ahead and looked at that already. And then also you have your lynda.com playlist, which is actually talking about your, you know, kind of what goes into your presentation, building blocks, simple background, colors, photos, illustrations, basic rules for achieving professional and compelling presentations. So it's going over ways in which customers attach emotions to brands as well. So you're kind of going over some past week 3 information as well. So don't forget that information is in there for you guys as supportive copy. It made your day, huh, Brandon? That's funny. All right, let's go into your discussions here. Let me know if you have any questions. You actually have to have this initial discussion posted by midnight tonight. And we got started a little late this week with our lecture, but hopefully you guys, have already gotten started. I know I saw a lot of you guys getting started, which is great. Go ahead and read through this background. I won't read it word for word. There's actually some really good insight into why a brand book is imperative. The prompt we'll go over here. So for this discussion, research and study the key components of a brand guide from the list below. Choose 2 components and discuss how each is used to create the brand's voice, look, and identity. So explain your rationale for your answers. You're going to choose 2 of these in this list here. Color palette, target audience, logo usage guide, typography guide, photography style, voice and tone, and web guidelines. So some of these are actual sections that you use in your brand book, so you should be able to talk about at least 2 of these. So for your citation, you might research articles that discuss the purpose of brand identity guidelines and why brands need a style guide. You can also find articles from experts who specialize in branding as well. So yeah, I mean, there's websites. I'm going to show you one here that I found. This is showing you the 6 critical components to include in your style guide. So basically what we talked about before, define your brand ethos, coming up with the big picture, motto, or short statement, maybe a mission statement, your vision of the actual brand. Maybe this is where either if the brand doesn't have a mission statement or a vision, you could, walk through with the client and get that clarified so you can add that into the brand book. Number 2, again, logo size and placement. You guys all pretty much showed this as well. Maybe not so much the size, but color variations, bad examples. Here's an example. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit better. This is kind of the idea behind this. So logo usage, proper color use. Talk about that. Why is that so important? Why are these sections so important within a brand book? Typefaces, talking about maybe not just the typeface themselves, but size specifications, other information here. Here's a nice breakdown in this example of not just what is being used in the logo, but also in other ways. Images and photography guidelines. What are your pictures saying about your brand? Now, sometimes they have graphic treatment too. Define your brand's voice and writing style. So those are, all pretty much within your key components of your brand guide. So you're going to talk about, you're going to research them again and study the components of them. How are these used to communicate the brand's voice, look, and identity? So really be specific about that. Does anybody have any questions? Not yet? Okay. All right. So just make sure that you're kind of, you're putting in not only the amount of words that need to be placed in here, the minimum amount of words, but also your 2 APA citations, a reference, 2 follow-up posts as well. Okay. Very, very good. I think that's pretty straightforward there. All right, let's go to your assignment here. Read over this, your final assignment. I'm just going to read through all of this. Client feedback on your design concepts provides a measuring stick with which to assess how well the design solves the client's design problem. Feedback provides a valuable learning tool for you to gauge your performance. It is an essential part of all design projects and can make or break the final design if not acted upon. The revisions you make from analyzing feedback will help you learn to be conscious of design choices that are effective and others that are not practical as part of your brand strategy. Take notes, jot down ideas, and listen for key points from your feedback. If you are unclear, ask for clarification. Moving forward without clarification will not solve the problem. Instead, it will do more harm than good. The time you spend revising your brand book is time invested in learning and making sure you are still reading the brand strategy goals. Your guide's most basic job is to teach everyone who sees it, whether it's another graphic designer or employee, what your brand is and how to effectively implement it. Without a great brand, companies are faceless, lifeless entities. Brands take the faceless corporation and give it a personality. Make that personality evident in your final brand guide. Become a master of feedback. Remember, for feedback to serve its purpose, you must act upon it. So for this assignment, you will finalize your brand book and logo. A final design must be well crafted to secure final approval from the client. At this stage, the designer must make sure everything is precisely what the client had agreed to in the initial layout and brand strategy. This is where all feedback, visual hierarchy, typography, colors, and imagery need to come together to obtain final client approval before introducing your brand to the world. Okay. So here's your instructions. So refer to the brand book required content in week 3 assignment. All required content must be included in the final brand book. Number 1, review your instructor's feedback from the week 3 assignment submission. Number 2, discuss with your instructor if you have any questions on the feedback and come to a resolution for the final design. Number 3, all suggested changes from week 2 must be made or come to an agreement of not changing something to obtain final client instructor approval. And number 4, implement all changes. And then you're going to be submitting your file, your brand book, as such. Name it below there. So assignment 4, first and last name. Submit it for grading. Add the brand book to your Behance portfolio site. And you're going to email a link to the book to your FPA and CC your instructor. Any questions so far? So it's pretty straightforward. You're just, if you need to revise your logo at this point, this is where you have to do it. Unfortunately, if you're at the point where you're revising the logo, you're going to have to be revising it on probably every page in your book. But sometimes it's just, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you have to, kind of learn the hard way, I guess. And believe me, I've been there before. Okay, so let me open up my brand book that I was working on in week 3 here. I know we kind of looked at this last week as well. But I just wanted to show you really quickly how to set this up for, let's say you go through my suggested changes. And you may want to even go back after seeing some of the student examples that I showed and make additional revisions to your piece that maybe I didn't comment on. So just kind of keep that in mind. Maybe you want to add something to it. Maybe you want to kind of change the look of it now after seeing some of the student examples. Nevertheless, just go in, revise what's needed to be revised, what I gave you feedback on. And go through every page be very specific. Look at all the details. It's the alignment, not just the actual information on the page, but is it aligned properly? Are you keeping the alignments consistent? There's a lot of times I'll have students that have an awesome mark or work. They have great work. It's effective, it's meaningful, and then when they get to the presentation part, it falls to pieces. Now, if you can't present your work properly and professionally, you pretty much wasted all that time because, that really pulls down the integrity of your work. The client will see that. So you really have to pay attention to all the details, not just the actual work itself, but how you're presenting it. You spend all this time, so much time and so much hard work on this, all the pieces that you did. Why not spend that same amount of time on presenting it, putting the attention to the details. So make sure, any type of grid structure that you're doing for each page, that you're consistent on where everything aligns on every page. You might, like for instance here, you might want to think of a unique mark to have your swatches shown in. You might need more visual pause space in between each section. I might have mentioned that. I know a lot of you guys, I've seen this happen where the headline will be shifted on one page and then the next page it'll be, over here. So there's no consistency. So when I flip through the PDF, it starts dancing around and it really should be in the same exact spot. So make sure you're keeping the consistency of the headline on the same, being aligned the same, positioned on the same baseline. Unless, obviously your grid structure changed and you need to kind of add a subhead and things change. But in that regards, it'll have its own layout that's consistent too. If you need to add, say you only did a proper logo usage showing the color in one variation, you might want to add one without, in black and white, or maybe one with how it would look on a dark background. Maybe you have a more vertical orientated logo that you want to try to do a more horizontal orientation to it, so that you can show both orientations and your logo becomes more versatile because of that. And the reason being is because if you have a more vertical logo, it might not work in some cases. You might go to designing the website and the logo may not work on that page in a vertical orientation. So that's why it's always good to kind of create two variations in regards to that. If you have this one, for instance, is more symmetrical. So maybe the only variation I would show is maybe the color variation on a darker background. Maybe you're adding text to your improper logo usage. Maybe you didn't have the text underneath and you're adding that. Maybe you didn't have, a visual indicator that these are what not to do. And you kind of want to add that. So just some key things to think about. Maybe, like for instance here, typography, I'm only showing what's in the logo. Maybe I add on another page what would be on other marketing pieces, what typography would be used. Imagery, maybe you need to go back and revise what you put into your page in regards to the mood that you want to set, the imagery, the perspective of the images that you want to show that would be applied to other pieces within the brand identity. Advertising and marketing treatments. Maybe you need to get this larger, like I showed before. For instance, this one I probably would make larger and have a couple other pages showing it in different applications, just so that it's not too small and you can actually see it. Contact information, maybe you didn't have a contact page and you want to add that on there. Go ahead and do so. I think it's a nice end of the page. So, think about all of these things, and then also double check. And I don't know if I actually did this either. Go back to your table of contents after you've kind of been shifting pages around and make sure, and I don't have it on here, make sure all the page numbers meet up with what's shown here. I actually don't have number 11 and 12 on here, so I have some of my pages are off. I think I have 2 pages that are logo guidelines, and I didn't have that. So 7 and 8, for instance. So I need to go back and change that. And then this would be 9. This would be 10. This would be 11. And I think I have to add a contents page here. So, you might notice after shifting things around and changing things, contact us, that it doesn't quite match up with your page numbers, and you need to change that. Something we don't think about after the fact. All right, so when you're ready to save this, you're going to obviously save it as I showed you before. Adobe presets, smallest file size is fine since I'm just viewing it, pretty much on my screen. I don't have to have a huge PDF file. So save it as a PDF. Go ahead, open your PDF. Make sure it's looks good. Everything's in place. Nothing looks weird. You might catch something and need to go back. So, reviewing this is always a good way to go. And then when you're done, go back to your InDesign. If everything's good, you put all the changes, feedback required in there, maybe did your own little changes to it as well. The next thing that you will need to do is save it out as a JPEG. Each page is a JPEG. So you go up to, this is for Behance, by the way. So go up to File, Export. You could put a folder on your desktop. I'm just going to save it on my desktop for now. And I'm going to click on this Format drop-down menu and choose JPEG. And click Save. And we want all pages. And this could probably be dropped down to 72 since we're showing it on your web page. we'll have to see what the outcome looks like here, but everything else looks good. Leave maximum, that's fine. Okay. So basically what we're going to do is get this ready to go for your Behance site here. So I saved all the JPEGs out. I'm going to show you my Behance site real quick here. All right, so actually let me edit this. This is, delete this one here. All right, oh, I have some in here. Oops, you know what? I didn't want to do that. Can I undo this? I guess I can't. All right, actually accidentally did something here. 1 second. Okay, I'm in my profile here. All right, so if you're ready to create a project, just say create a project. I'm getting a little lost here. I was updating my portfolio, so I see some of my student projects in there. All right, and then do upload files. And the JPEGs that you just created, you're just going to select them all. So I'm just holding down the command key, whoops, and selecting all of my pages here. And click open. And these are all the JPEGs that you saved out as, and that should all dump it in here. So that, I'll show you the preview here. So when you're ready to look at it, you can see the cover and then the inside pages. When you're ready to commit to publishing this, everything looks great. Say continue. You can upload your image if you want, you know, maybe this to be on the cover. Okay, this is a little bit wider. Let me hit cancel. I don't know if this is actually going to let me. Has to be at least 808 pixels wide, so you might have to do, let's see, let me do a screenshot maybe of this real quick. Okay, oh, that was loud. Okay. Just real quick, you might want maybe not do a screenshot like I did because it's not going to come out real nice looking, but you'll basically just maybe crop the cover. I still got it wrong. Okay, hold on. 632. Try a little square here. So it'll give you the guidelines of what it should be. I don't even know if this is going to be right, but we'll see. There we go. More of like a square, I guess. All right, crop and continue. You can name the project title. You can name it our class name, brand book, and then add the creative fields. Creative field would be obviously graphic design. I don't think they have a brand. Oh, branding. You can choose graphic design and branding. Tools used. You can, mention. I'm just going to put Adobe Creative Suite. And then publish. Once it's published, you're going to get a link, and you're going to email that link to your FPA. This link here, you're just going to do a select all, so Command A, and then a Command C, which is copy. And then you're going to paste that into your email to your FPA and CC me on that email. Any questions about that? No, pretty easy. If you were to want to get rid of that or edit it in any way, just go ahead and click over into the project itself. This little pen icon, you can choose edit, delete, promote, you know, pretty much all the options here. Go ahead and delete this, and that's kind of what you guys should be doing. Pretty simple. So you're going to be evolving your work, changing things, adding things, saving it out as a PDF for final submission, and then saving it out as JPEG for your Behance site to email and to CC me on that email. So if you click on this link, refer back to that brand required content, takes you back to assignment 3. So if you need that information is in here. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you really quickly a brand book that I worked on. I think I kind of showed you a little bit before one other brand book that I did, but I'm not sure if I showed you this one. Let me see if I did. Hold on. I might have showed you a couple pages, but not the whole thing here. Did I show you this, you guys? I think maybe I showed you a couple pages, but not like the whole brand book. Now that we're kind of through, you guys designed a brand book, I wanted to show you a little bit more in detail. Okay, so let's do full screen. Can you guys see that? Okay, it's hard to kind of do this with the chat area. Okay, so I did this in 2011 for an actual tattoo company called Collective Tattoo and Gallery. What I did was a rebrand of their logo, and then I created a brand book for them. And I think this is kind of an interesting brand to look at because they're, you know, a tattoo place. So it's kind of neat to see the overall book involved with this. So it's 63 pages, so bear with me. A lot of detail, but I wanted to show this to you because now that you guys already did a brand book, it's kind of neat to see a more extensive one. Okay, so let's go forward here. And I actually won a SCADI award for this. It's SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, first place branding award for it. So it's kind of something that I'm proud of. All right, so here's my contents, table of contents, again, like you guys are doing. I broke it down a little bit more extensively here, but you can kind of see what some of the sections that you guys worked on included. Now, just to kind of give you some insight, not all brand books are this extensive. Some of them aren't even as extensive that you guys did. Some of them are 1 or 2 pages. So, you know, it really kind of depends on the brand and what they need as well. So I go into the intro, talks about what their brand manual standards are, why do they have this, kind of explaining what this book is all about, what they're trying to do. Artwork standards, kind of showing you the original, the rebranded logo, and talking about, you know, where this logo would be used in general. In here, I kind of added some inspirational quotes. It says an expert is someone who tells you why you can't do something. So it's kind of neat little inspirational quotes within here, kind of setting the mood for the actual brand itself too. Here's the mission statement here. Our foundation starts here with our mission, which is everlasting, just like a tattoo. Our mission is our intentions as a company and serves as the guide which we weigh our actions and overall decisions. So here are their missions here, just listed in order, and kind of tells you who they are as a brand as well. Vision, you know, how they want, you know, they have a vision of what their brand's going to look like. So this is kind of breaking down what their visions are: to be comfortable, creative, inspiring place to work where people, employees can prosper. This particular brand was very interesting. It's kind of they had their own niche because they weren't just a tattoo parlor. They were also an art gallery, and they actually had weekend shows where the DJ would come in and they would have like art shows and kind of different things going on. So that was kind of their niche for sure. So their values, kind of what they value as a brand being listed here. Giving back, keeping it real, dedicating, heart, soul, mind, soul, superior talent, intuition, creativity. So showing their brand as one here. All right, logo usage. You guys did this for your pages, how to use the logo. Maybe the clear space of the logo and kind of the minimum size that the logo can be placed. Clear space and size requirements. Here's the difference between a more vertical logo and a horizontal logo. So showing you two different ways that you can use this logo. So in the brand book, you have to show each orientation if you're going that route. So it's showing you both of those in detail. So here's the horizontal variation and then size requirements as well. How not to use the logo. And again, you can hopefully see this very clearly because I have it marked with a big red X. What not to do, I'm showing how not to do it. And then on the right, it's kind of the supportive copy. That is the vertical variation, and this is the horizontal variation. So typically when you have two variations, you want to show, you know, your brand book needs to kind of explain how not to use the horizontal version as well as the vertical. Here's some background no-nos, color of no-nos. If you want to go extensive like this. And then the color palette. So this is just, you know, the primary color palette being used, what it would look like on a darker background, Pantone colors being used. Typefaces. So it's kind of showing you what typefaces were used in the actual logo itself. It's actually, I described how, you know, what to use for headlines, subheads, etc. This is kind of nice little quotes that kind of divide up each section of the book here. All right, and then it goes into standard communication, so print and digital cards specs. Here's the business card. Specs are really, really specific, so it's telling you the size, paper color ink used, resolution, paper type, file format, size. I mean, you can get super specific here. You know, you don't have to necessarily do that, but if you are wanting a specific look and you don't want it to, you know, look any different, then this is important to have in here. So not only am I just showing prints, but I'm also showing digital cards as an alternative as well. Here's referral cards. So anything that's related to the brand would be great to talk about in this standard communication section. Referral card would be, you know, obviously used in a tattoo place. They base a lot of their businesses off of referral cards. So it's kind of showing you what the card would look like and then specifications. Stationery, letterhead, envelopes, down to the specific size, where the actual logo would be, color, paper, typeface, etc. Very specific. So keeping it very crystal clear what how it needs to be placed so that there's no variation in this if somebody were to take hold of it. Here's a print and digital receipt. So if you were going in to get a tattoo or buying some type of collateral item, you know, artwork and or branded t-shirts or whatever they have there, this is what the receipt would look like. I mean, it goes into very specifics here. You get very, very specific. All right, merchandise. So this is another section. So you have collective tattoo and gallery collection. And they're kind of, I'm explaining in here about how they give back. So when you're kind of showing the artwork of people who live downtown St. Pete, you know, obviously you're helping them out, art-related businesses as well. You're having maybe little shows, maybe selling the artwork itself. promoting other people's businesses. Then it goes into t-shirts, merchandise, where the logo would be placed on the t-shirt, what size. I mean, it goes very, very specific. White tee, dark tee, neutral tee, and just showing you where the logo would be placed on the actual t-shirts. Stilettos. So, you know, keeping up with the brand and the overall essence of the brand, why not? You know, stilettos are very cool. This is what, you know, if they were to make a stiletto brand, this is what their logo would look like within the actual shoe. Guys will like this. This is the Sexy Smart Bikini merch line. And this is what the brand would look like on those specific bikinis there. Skateboards, or skate decks, I should say, are very popular, especially a lot of tattoo places, particularly the Collective Tattoo place. So this is what the custom skateboard would look like with their brand on there. What was neat about this place is they actually, and I've been in there, actually got a tattoo in there. I know the owner and stuff, so this is kind of why I did the rebrand. But they're actually next to a fine artist who actually does this artwork. This is actually his artwork. So I was thinking of teaming them up together so that they could kind of do a collaboration of sorts. So this is kind of the idea behind this skate decks there. You can go into smartphone cases, how that would be branded on there, specifically where the actual logo would. This is Sean. You can't see him real well because it's kind of a blur, but that's Sean. He's the owner of the tattoo place. I actually got him in picture here. All right, and then I went into signage. Now, luckily, my ex-husband is an architect, and he actually helped me out at the time to create some of these CAD drawings. So if you have that nice connection with somebody who can do this, you can actually create some really cool signage examples maybe for this. So this would be if Collective were to go and be a franchise, this information would be great because they can hand this over to the next franchise owner to open up their own Collective tattoo place. And this is kind of the how to use their signage so that it's all cohesive from one place to the next, because you wouldn't want, you know, their brand to look different when you go to another place that their name is on. So this is actually showing you the storefront. Maybe even having some light post banners that would advertise for Collective, how that would look. This is the actual inside. When they moved in for Collective, this is what their actual inside looked like. So I was able to get some CAD drawings done of the inside and what pieces would look like within the actual studio. So I have table tents, I have business cards kind of set up there, promotional materials, and contact information. Flyers, you know, if to save money, I'm showing how to do this on an 8.5 by 11 and then cut in the middle to create these flyers that would be maybe printed in an office printer to save money as well. And these flyers would be passed out, kind of showing events going on at the time. Posters, same thing, 17 by 22 here. Social media, so not, you know, you have to think about social media, Facebook, Twitter, all those great social media platforms, how the mark would look within each of those profile pics. Web ad. So here's some ideas for some web ads. There's actually, I can't click on it here. I actually did an ad for this, but I don't think I can click on it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't see the play button here. I didn't have the PDF be interactive, but I actually did do a web ad for this. All right, bags. You know, if they're going to have merchandise, you have to have bags. So this is me kind of plotting out what the bags would look like, logo size. different colors. And they maybe not necessarily would be black, gray, and white like this, but it's just showing you what the tone of whatever would be on there. Just the same as the shirts and everything else I just showed you. So they're just kind of showing you in general where the logo would be and how it would look. Here are like clothing tags or any kind of type of tags that would be on merchandise, kind of fitting that cog style of the logo. And then going forward, you know, kind of doing some really interesting wraps, maybe with bikes. Kind of go hand in hand with tattoos, right? So what would it look like with a bike brand with their name on it? Vespa wraps are very, you know, Vespas are huge too in St. Pete and in the Florida area. So I wanted to show that as well. And then the contact us and design inquiries page. So it says, for questions about the brand manual, design standards set forth inside the brand manual, or to request a review of a specific design and or application, please contact. And there I am with my information. Here's all my sources. All right, so I wanted to show that to you because now that you guys are, you know, have completed your work. Oops, here. Your brand book, maybe not completely completed it, but you went through the process of the brand book. You kind of can see a brand book that's a little bit more in detail and start thinking about maybe some things that you want to add or subtract. You don't have to be that extensive with yours, but it gives you some insight of what it could be too. And what's really nice, like I said before, what's nice about a brand book is if you were to start a project with a client that had the budget to maybe get some other pieces done, you can mock up pieces and what it would look like without actually creating them for real and present it to the client, and you could gain some more work in that regards. So it could drum up some work. All right, so that's pretty much where I'm going to end it today. I don't want to get started with the next assessment until tomorrow. I don't want to dump a whole bunch of stuff on you guys. But at this point, I kind of want to open it up. If you guys have anything that you want to show, questions that you had, maybe with some of the critique feedback that I gave to you guys, this is now the time to take advantage of that. If not tomorrow as well, we can definitely open it up for critique. You guys let me know. Okay, Tabitha, let me see here. Let me unmute you. I'm going to stop sharing. You can share your screen if you want to do that.
Can you see that?
Yes, and I think I asked you for your native file so that I can show you a few things.
Yes, I sent it to you.
Okay, great. Actually, let me have you stop sharing here real quick.
Okay.
Let me take the screen back because I do want to. This is perfect. This is going to work out perfect. So you sent that to me via email, correct?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second. If you don't mind me doing this.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. All right, so let me sign in my email. Sorry about this. I'm trying to catch up here. All right, I got it. Let me save this to my desktop and we'll be good. All right. One step at a time here. Desktop. AI. Okay, great. Got it. The reason why I wanted you to, oh, I don't have your one font here, Ego Trip, and the other one. I don't have your one font. So this is how I'm viewing it here, just to show you. Looks a lot different.
Oh, yes, it does.
So just for ease of, you know, the next time if you were to send me this, just go ahead and select the type and do a create outlines.
Okay.
So that I don't have any like linkage, but it's okay because I just wanted to show you with the mark. So obviously it looks a lot different type wise, but I wanted to show you a couple things with the mark itself. So I think this is starting to look a lot better. I just think the overall balance is off, especially because it's so top heavy and then you have this triangle below for this variation. Mm-hmm. What I would do is just kind of flip this up so that it's kind of where it was before you had changed it. And then focus on, make sure this is all centered. For some reason, this doesn't look, oh, it is centered. Well, it's slightly off. Just make sure this is all centered here.
Okay.
Okay, so you were talking about the 6 essential nutrients?
Yes.
All right.
That's why I chose the triangle.
Right. So what I'm thinking is maybe, you know, maybe it's just as simple as showing, because I like the fact that you had 2 triangles, but it doesn't quite make sense if you're trying to show the 6 essential nutrients.
Yes.
So what if you were to just like copy this line here, so shift, let me get rid of this line. So I just copied and pasted that. I'm going to get rid of this line here. Copy, paste, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up with it because I think that's more positive. So I'm going to go, just trying new things here. Let's see what this does here. It's a little bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see what I'm doing here?
Yes, I do.
And I don't know if you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, and then just make sure these are all centered. So I'm just kind of making it look like it's progressing up. Oops, I don't want that. There we go. There we go. And then making it work with the triangle. I like the triangle idea. It's just kind of getting that to work. So what if, you know, what if you played around with, what if the triangle, trying to think of what would look really interesting here. Whoops. What if you just had like a line here? Now you'll want this kind of just playing around with the mark. I think that's once you kind of get that mark where it needs to be to reflect those 6 nutrients. Then what you'll need to do is kind of get rid of the bottom part here.
Okay.
So I want to kind of so I would take the scissors and just mark each of these. Oops. I'm just like clicking right on the line here, but make sure you're clicking on the actual vertical line.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just get rid of that. I might need to move some up though. Okay, let's put this down a little bit. I'm zooming in here. So I think what you had, obviously you're making it more simplified, which is great. It's just, I think that whole 6 nutrient theme is actually pretty cool. Something that you can definitely kind of capitalize on. But I think it needs to be a little bit more simplified. What I would try to, maybe in this case too, have Red River or maybe on 2 lines. That way it might balance a little bit better with your mark. I love the typeface that you did use, so I think that works perfectly for your brand.
I like that.
So it's just kind of getting, I know your typeface is a little different. Let's change it so it's not red, at least. Oh, it's kind of like that, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah.
Kind of like that. Okay. I don't know if it's, let me see. Is it really like that, or is it a little different? I can't remember.
It's a little different.
Okay.
Down a little farther.
Okay, so it might work better with this mark. I'm just trying to think. Because this looks very scientific up above, like very structured, and then you have this very organic type look of typeface, which it could work. I'm just trying to figure out the balance here of how this would work. So maybe in this instance, the mark is, I don't know, try different things. Like try the mark in between both words. See what that looks like. Try it above both words, kind of just see what it looks like and how it works. But I wanted to show you this, and then you can go in and actually change the color of each of these to represent. And it doesn't have to be, it could be all one color, but you might vary the tonality of it.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that could start out as the green color or lighter green color here. Let me get this in my swatches here. Oops, what am I doing here? Because you don't want to put like a rainbow of colors in here.
No,
I think
that would be too much.
Yeah, so I would just stick with something very simple, like you have the green here. Why is this not, where's my swatches? There we go. And then what I would do is like change this so that maybe it's lighter to darker. I mean, that's, one idea there.
Yes, because I've been changing that logo. That triangle's been all over the place.
We can even go darker with this. Just get some contrast in there. And then maybe that's where we go with this one too. Something different. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna play with it. I don't know if this actually is what you would do. I just wanted to show you some things that you can try.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm fully in love with that, but something unique, something that ties in with the whole 6. Maybe just as simple as that, and then just creating, kind of always experimenting with the lines. Maybe if you want to make it look a little bit more cohesive with, and this is probably not going to work here. Hold on. Yes, it's not going to work. Let's do 0 here. Hold on. Just trying different brush sizes. you know, maybe it's as simple as something like this, where you're showing the 6 in there. And not necessarily the triangle. Maybe the triangle is what you're, you know, maybe that's the shape that you're struggling with. So if it is, then, you know, you have to rethink about what it is that you're trying to show. I think that you have a really strong typeface, even though this one isn't your particular one. So I think all you need is a very, very simple mark that reflects maybe the 6 ingredients, essential ingredients. Something as simple as that. You know, I'm not necessarily sure if that would work for you, but, you know, I just want to show you some things to play around with.
Okay, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope that helped.
I have been racking my brain trying so many different things, and I just couldn't stand it any longer.
I mean, you could even, yeah, I mean, you could even do very organic shapes too. Like you can do, just to give you some ideas, what if you did just these like really cool shape with the 6 ingredients, and then you just made them all have a different opacity of that green. So maybe the opacity just dials down slightly in each of these.
See, I also had the thought of actually putting the triangles in a pie shape, making sure all the triangles were different, or, you know, exactly the same, but in a pie.
Okay.
To represent that it's from the 5 food groups plus the essential fats and oils.
Yeah, and I don't know, for some reason I think of Trivial Pursuit when I think of that.
Yes.
Like now I want to play Trivial Pursuit. So, I mean, I get that. Yeah, I definitely get that. You know, would it work? I don't know. It'd be something you'd have to like
Try.
Right.
Another thing to try.
Right. Experiment with, see if it works. If it doesn't work, just keep on going. You know, try something else that you think would work. But I'm just, you know, like this, for example, could be something that you might want to play around with. Different opacities of something very simple, but may work very well for it.
Yes. That just might work.
And those could be triangles. They don't have to be circles. Those could be little triangles that look, you know, that almost look like a flower in a way, but has that organic but abstract look to it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because I even moved the logo between, well, the triangle underneath Red River and above organic dog food. I was trying everything.
Well, that's good. That's what you need to be doing for sure. That's what this part of the process is all about. Seeing what works. If you have the elements and you can pull them together in a way that works, that's the whole part of the experimentation. But if you're having really, really big issues with a certain shape, then I would just say just get rid of it because it's not working.
Yeah. Okay. I will do. What do you think of the typeface for the tagline?
So let me stop sharing and you bring up yours because I don't have that. Share yours. Can you share your screen? Okay.
See, I was trying everything with that.
Can you zoom in on that? No. What typeface is that?
Oop, wait a second here. Let me. Let's see, which one was it? Oh, I can't even pronounce that word.
Oh yeah, I see that. No, I think that works.
Okay.
I would try it in all caps and maybe all lowercase just for visual purpose.
Visual purpose. See how I was trying with the triangle? I was trying everything.
Yeah.
I was still trying to get that balance thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't look balanced to me. That looks like the top is ready to like, almost like a teeter-totter.
Yes.
So I think that's maybe implement the once you do find the mark, try it in between the 2 words, try it above it, you know, make sure it's balanced. Because I think the key word to this is balance. Because if you think about dog food, especially organic dog food, they want to convey that balance.
Absolutely.
So if your logo doesn't look balanced, it's going to give off this opposite visual communication to somebody that it's not balanced.
Yes, definitely. because that's what the whole triangle's for, is the balanced food groups and stuff, you know.
Exactly. But yeah, just keep on experimenting. I think the typeface looks great. I think you just need a couple of tweaks with the mark and the position of it, and I think you got something.
All righty. I will continue on then.
All right. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope I helped.
You did.
Good. Anybody else want to show anything? Thanks for sharing that. We all learn from each other too, so.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, Brian, you're good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming in, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll discuss your assessment, final assessment, and I'll be seeing you hopefully tomorrow.
Okie dokie.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.